Hello and welcome to the aForm show. My name is Alan George and thank you very much for tuning in. Each week, we sit across from thought leaders and change makers in the architecture and design space of the GCC. We dive deep into their experiences, both professionally and personally, and share their valuable insight as to what makes them tick. Our goal is to add value to your day and help you navigate your own personal creative journey. Finally, the opinions and the views of the guest speakers are that of their own. They do not necessarily represent the views and the opinions of the show or the host. Welcome to the show, everyone. This week we are joined by Firas AlSahin, co-founder and design director of FourSpace Design. Over the last decade, Firas has been recognized as one of the leading designers within the region, with recently delivered projects within the F&B sector in Dubai, such as Papa and Jun's. Firas and his team are redefining the sector one project at a time. Furthermore, under the banner of FourSpace, Firas and his team have launched their first NFT collection known as the Metachair Society. Really exciting stuff. Obviously, there's a lot to unpack in this episode. So without further ado, let's get into it. Hi, Firas. How are you?
Hi, Alan. I'm great. Thank you for having me, really. I really appreciate the nice introduction.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Obviously, the show, I've said it time and time again, is only possible because of guests like yourself donating your time to come onto the show. So on behalf of the show, we really appreciate that. And thank you very much. So just off air, I thought it was very interesting. We were talking about, obviously, FourSpace Design and its history to an extent. And you have a very interesting milestone coming up, which I think is a perfect place for us to start off with, and then we can kind of backtrack from there. So do you mind sharing with our audience what this milestone is?
Yeah, exactly. So basically we are after 2 weeks, we'll be marking a decade for FourSpace. In 2 weeks' time, it's going to be FourSpace 10th birthday.
Wow.
So, yeah, it sounds a lot. I still remember the day that when we landed here in Dubai, and we had the decision, me and my partner Amjad, to start the business totally from scratch. And we were really coming from Damascus with any kind of background about this happening here, without even doing the business in a different language, like in English. So it was really quite challenging, and it was really an interesting and bumpy ride, like you always mentioned. But
right.
We really wanted to be that way because it was an amazing learning curve. So I remember the first day that after we finished all the formalities and we finished all the startups paper, and we end up with a big office, me and Amjad, my partner, and just we look at each other. And we had only like a desk and computer and a printer, I believe, and 2 chairs, and said, okay, what is next? How are we going to do it now? We need clients. And yeah, we were really fortunate that we got our first client, who was a restaurant owner, and he wants to open in downtown. And for us, it was really a first experience of its kind to design a restaurant, especially with MR properties. And yeah, we had to learn the whole thing. So I remember my first kickoff meeting with MR when they start mentioning and throwing terms here and there like LODs, MEP, and I was like, what the hell? What is MEP? Okay, and like under the table, I'd like Googling MEP, LOD, this kind of things. So we were really fortunate enough that project was really a great success, and for us to really tackle all the difficulties back then, we had to get all the fit-out manuals from MR. And we went through them and we studied them and translate them. And we had to learn the language of the industry totally from scratch. And it was really hard. Why? Because I moved from Damascus with a company that it's over 20 people. And to start from a space in JLT with only 2 people, which me and my partner have to do everything on, a full company on behalf. So it wasn't really easy, but that's really helped us to learn a lot. And we attended every single meetings. We went for every single weekly meetings, site meetings. We've done our detailed drawings, 3D modeling, met with the clients, our all financials. So yeah, so this project that we did back then, it got its first international recognition. It was shortlisted for Restaurant and Bar Design Awards in London. And in a year time, we were in UK and we attended the awards, and it was really an amazing startup. And it just gave us an amazing, like a boost, a confidence to really carry on and keep going.
I mean, obviously you've done a very good job. 10 years later to look back on something like that, that's just amazing. I kind of then want to ask, I mean, obviously, moving from, one city to another is obviously a big challenge in itself. And to then move to a city and then start up a practice, of course, is then even more challenging, obviously. I guess my question is, when you started for space design with you and your partner, what was the kind of market gap or project type or anything like that? Was there a certain, sector that you wanted to target, or a certain answer that you wanted to give the sector? Anything like that?
So to be honest, Alan, back then we couldn't really afford to choose what we are gonna do in the industry.
Right.
So we couldn't afford to have a niche, but out of nowhere, the first project that we did here, it was a restaurant. And this restaurant brought another restaurant, and another restaurant brought another restaurant.
Right.
And then we developed some kind of good relationship with MR. So we did a huge job for them, was the VR park. And it was a 5,000 square meter of an interaction park. So we started doing entertainment park, and this project got lots of international recognition as well. It won the Society of British International Design Awards, SPID, in London. So yeah, we started doing a few residential here and there, F&B, bars and clubs, retail shops. So yeah, back then we really didn't focus on a niche, but now I feel like we reached to a point we are comfortable doing really anything.
Right. No, I mean, the VR park, for listeners who don't have any context, I definitely recommend Googling it. It is a place that I've spent a lot of time in, and probably too much money, my wife would say, but definitely an awesome space. I didn't know that, it was you behind it, but now it all makes so much more sense, with everything. That's very cool. So kind of then follow up, obviously, because you have a lot of history with restaurants, specifically in this city. Dubai is kind of in many ways similar, but in many ways not similar to a lot of cities in the world. So I guess my question is, because you've been in that sector for, this period of, say, a decade or so or more, what do you think is the future of, say, the F&B sector? What are clients kind of looking for? Of course, COVID's still a thing, and, are we, over it, beyond it? We don't know, et cetera, but kind of more macro level. What are operators looking to actually do in the next, say, 5 years? What are they looking to achieve?
Yeah, so when it comes for COVID and how it affects a restaurant design or the future of restaurant design, the stereotype answer would be that, okay, we'll start doing partitions, we'll start doing social distancing and doing like antimicrobial, antibacterial elements, Okay, but we sensed that there is a different approach from our clients, which is like, okay, people are conscious because of COVID. They are conscious to go to restaurants, they are conscious to go to bars, they are conscious to go to hotels. Okay. So they said, okay, I can eat at home. Why should I go to a restaurant?
Right.
So the client's brief was, okay, please bring people to restaurants. Okay, this was the main target.
Right.
Do a design that enhance the experience. It's not going to be, it's about the food only, right? Let it be about the experience. So our job as a designer is to enhance the customer experience. I think we're going to see more of that approach. It's all about the experience. And restaurants these days are competing with social media. So I don't know whether it's a bad thing or a good thing, but anyone, and I believe it happened of all of us, once you enter a space and you are admiring something, whether you are admiring a meal, your dessert, the presentation they're doing, or even the design, the first move you do that you take your phone out and you open the camera and you start recording. Sometimes it's frustrating. Why? Because you are living the experience through your your phone camera,
right?
Instead of really using your eyes, right? So even how many times you've been into like a wedding or maybe a birthday party, and the minute they bring the cake, or you have the groom and the bride, and you out of nowhere you take your phone out, and it's a very emotional moment, for example, and you start like recording. Why is that? So that means there is something here. There is someone competing with social media here, competing with your experience. So if this is the case, let's give a good content, let's give a good design. So that's why it's very important for restaurants to be very, very well designed and be ready to be filmed, photographed, to receive content, to receive experience.
Right. I think this is something very interesting, which of late, we've been looking at a few kind of showrooms and F&B offerings and so on. And something which I've noticed in the brief that's come up maybe over the last few years probably is, there'll also be, back of house, front of house, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then there's the Instagram moment. I am kind of on the fence about really designing an Instagram moment, specifically that, I can see its benefits. I can see its disadvantages also. I kind of want to get your opinion on that. Do you think this sector should have those Instagram moments? Should they be part of a brief that you actually answer for?
So the idea of having what we call Instagrammable booth or like a photo booth, it's a bit outdated now, because the whole restaurant should be more Instagram worthy, right? So you should put your effort as a designers in all the aspect of the restaurants, on every single details, on every single materials you are using, and anything could be like a photo op. Let's say it's a photo op, more like an Instagram, because now Instagram is something so branded.
Right.
So we have other social media channels.
Right.
So I believe to say a photo op or photo opportunity in every single corner in the restaurant, this is what we should really pay attention to.
Interesting. But then this would also I'm assuming this is something which you then work very closely with the actual restaurateur also, because then that has to translate into even product design and, the way plates are laid out and things like that? Or is that not the case most of the time?
So look, basically the tour is very important, of course, the whole journey, let's say, okay, from the minute, because now it's not about the whole photo opportunity or the video opportunity. It turns into something movable, right? So people, they don't care about like a nice wall with flowers in the background. They start filming from the minute they are outside of the restaurant, by entering in, checking in, having a glimpse to the name of the restaurant, and they walk, they photo their feet walking inside the place, the waiters, until they reach to the final destination with their table, and then how the food is coming. So it's more like a journey. Sometimes they get encouraged to go to the bartender, they go to the maybe if there is an open kitchen, to go interact also with the staff. So the whole kind of experience became a bit different, and it's became more than a photograph. So even if you look at Instagram recently, it's trying to be more a video kind of friendly app, and with the invention of Reels now, and using the music in the background, they are trying to be more like TikTok. So basically that's to encourage content creator to create more videos. So that's why the restaurant, as you mentioned, and was really a good spot on the topic, that it should be more a tour and more a journey, like an aesthetic photograph for one area only.
Right. Very interesting. I mean, again, from a design point of view, that seems like, yes, of course, obviously, it's always about, the journey that, the actual user has. And yeah, I never really thought of it that way. But yeah, the subconscious, I do exactly that all the time. Maybe not for restaurants, but definitely, cool buildings and things like that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we've done a very nice night venue called Papa. Papa, it's a venue that had 9 bars, different theme bars under one roof. And the whole journey between those bars, and every single bar cater a different kind of experience and different kind of cocktails and different kind of even cuisine. So you have the tiki bar, you have the champagne bar, you have the whiskey bar, and this is all the bars. They have a different themes with the design, with the experience, with the persona of the tender of the bartender. But eventually, when you are in the venue, you feel like there is one design element that really combine everything together. So you are not into a place where you can feel disconnected and you just have to jump from one place to another.
Yeah.
No. The journey is quite seamless, that you move from one place to another and you feel that there is one sense of design between all of them. And they are like going into a Bolivar it's combined with one big structure.
Right.
So that's the journey. And in this kind of experiences, you are giving a more opportunity to cater more people, because people are different.
Right.
Everyone have a different interest or different taste. So if you have a big venue, why don't you make more than one concept? But eventually you need to be very smart in your design and to have something to combine them all together.
Surely. Having been there myself, I completely agree. It's just kind of in that initial walk around, you almost tend to forget that this is all still one space. You kind of get this impression that, I'm now in, this area and now I'm there. But it's only when you exit, you're like, oh yeah, that was all like one, kind of, cohesive design, which I thought was very cool. Yeah. Awesome. So, we've talked about projects in general and, work that's been happening off late. And I think it was brilliant that you mentioned VR Park, because it gives me a very good segue to my next question, which again, honestly, for me has been like quite literally a whole other world that I found out about. I don't want to overwhelm a lot of the listeners because I'm sure they're quite saturated on everything metaverse at this point. And basically, it all comes down to the amount of research that you put into it to actually educate yourself at this point, I feel. You are obviously someone who's not only done that, but has very formally entered that space. Obviously, with the Metachair Society, with that being minted. And of course, with, I've seen a few of your projects, which I've also now translated from both reality to the metaverse, which I thought was very cool. But of course, this is a very fluid and a very changing space. And what may have been the case, 6 months or a year back may not necessarily be the case now. So I kind of want to understand from you at the moment, in your mind, what do you see as a designer's role in the metaverse currently, given the landscape?
I see it as an opportunity that really designers need to be audacious. It required audacity, really, to enter the space, right? To get out from your comfort zone and learn something new,
right?
Because it's a space where there is infinite possibilities for designers and architects, and I don't want anyone to miss it out. Why? Because imagine that it's something that's going to happen, whether we like it or not, and whether it's good or not, there is lots of big question mark here. It's happening. But if I have the chance as a designer or as an architect to make it a better place, why not? I feel obligated to be there and make it a better place. And even if I have a client that I usually design for him, let's say, I don't know, his showrooms, his offices, okay, his business is out of nowhere, he wants to move to the metaverse. He got maybe a virtual land, he got some kind of, some kind of meta space somewhere, and he wants to design it. And he approached me and he said, sorry, I cannot do it. That's really, it's a missing opportunity, right? So he have to go with maybe, let's say, a game developer, right? Can you imagine how proportionally awkward it could be if this game developer haven't done his job quite really good,
right?
So yeah, it's an obligation and it's an opportunity as well. And I believe that the metaverse, how it's now evolving, it's creating different type of opportunities in terms. It's not only a virtual world or it's a digital world. There is a lot of spaces that you can work on. So you have the NFT, which is it's for artists. It's an amazing opportunity, and it's an amazing way that they gain recognition, they gain royalty. They can sell the art through it. So I give you a few small examples. Imagine that, you just get introduced with an emerging artist, let's say, or an emerging designer, and you bought one of his work, right, in one of the galleries, right? And he's still a modest start, is in his beginning, and you own this piece of art. And after 10 years, this artist became quite famous, right? And the piece of art that you bought is now it worth a fortune, right? Yeah. So if I ask you now, the artist, is he gaining anything from the value of the art now? No, he doesn't. But if it was an NFT, and in the blockchain, in the ledger, in the smart contract, he has the royalty for anything you are doing with this art or selling this art. That's an amazing value. So that means even for you as an architect, or even if you are as an artist and you want to design a building, let's say, okay, for your client, and instead of like doing the design, upload it on the cloud and send a link to the client and wait to get paid, why don't you just mint it as an NFT, okay? And it's there. He can just view it, but he have to pay for it, okay? You have to buy it as an NFT to download all the blueprints, the 3D model, all of that. So in one side, you get paid on time. On the other side, you still have, because of the smart contract in the NFT, you have your royalty. So every time he can sell this design or sell this building or get the recognition, you can get benefit from. This is one opportunity. The other opportunity is augmented reality. Augmented reality, I believe it's the most interesting technology that as a designer, we should really pay attention to. Because when it comes for gadgets, when it comes for the hardwares that we are today or that we are using, of course, VR set is quite heavy. It's causing dizziness. It's not a pleasant device to use. But once we reach to a day where we have a very sleek glasses like you and me are putting on our daily faces, daily base, and you put it in your face, and you just look at a building, or you look at a fashion, or look at a piece of chair, or like an interior, and you see it on a different aspect, and you see it in a different design, different shape, different colors. Yeah, that's really interesting, right? So augmented reality is really an amazing thing that designers should learn. And recently we start implementing AR murals and artworks in the restaurants that we are designing and into the venues that we are designing. So where people until now, they have to take their phone out because they are taking their phone anyway. So why don't you just like scan this QR code or just like point your camera toward this mural and see it moving, coming alive, sending a different message, sending, I don't know, some kind of message about the restaurant that you are into, or about the venue that you are into, or maybe a wayfinding technique maybe for the public space that you are into. So that's really an amazing opportunity for designers. Third, of course, it comes for the digital architecture. Digital architecture, we are hearing a lot now about digital twin, right? So, for example, I have a client now that we are designing for him a big, huge art gallery that it exists in the physical world, and it's going to have a digital twin in the metaverse. Okay, when we say metaverse, it doesn't have to be, it's the metaverse. No, right. It's like we're saying that it's the internet, right? Right. It's in a digital 3D kind of form. So for clients, they are willing to visit the gallery outside of the physical place. They can still put the VR set, or they just go through the desktop and just roam around like you are playing a game, right? You can use your keyboard and mouse and just go through. And even if you want to use your phone and just like go inside and watch the art, even you can get to every single piece of art, even if it's not NFT, you can still go inside and get all the information, and you can bid or you can buy and sell.
Right.
Beside, of course, the NFT gallery, it's all gonna be available on that virtual 3D world.
I mean, I was going to ask, between both technologies, of course, there's AR and VR. I was going to ask, how far do you think AR is from actual implementation and design? But from what you said, it's already here. So if that is the case, how far away do you think this kind of VR digital twin is from pretty much almost any project?
So I believe the AR technology is already there, and we start seeing that a lot in lots of big brands they are doing now in fashion. Right? I don't know if you heard about Nike acquiring Artifact. It's a company that designs sneakers.
Yes.
So we can reach to a point where we start seeing that people that are buying virtual or virtual assets or digital assets as sneakers. So maybe we're going to reach to a point where you design a building and while you are going through the street and you look at those buildings and you see it in a different design and different shapes, and they have a digital twin that you can really experience through the glasses. And I believe in 1 year time, we're going to have this like kind of fancy gadgets or this AR. So there's lots of announcement happening here and there. I believe it's going to be in reach of hand very soon, which is going to really allow us to really live the augmented reality world.
Very interesting. Very interesting. So there's a question which our team member on the show, Shweta, had, which I wanted to get your opinion on. It is metaverse related. And I think any designer, like yourself, can agree that there are many opportunities in this space, no doubt. Do you think that there's anything that can potentially go wrong in this space as well for a designer? In the sense that the kind of argument that was put forward was, should we now change our craft to work in the digital space itself and maybe forget about, or rather not give importance to, say, real life architecture, for example? That's just one aspect. But I think the overarching question was, are there any disadvantages or, problems that we may have as designers in this space?
So look, definitely the creativity area or the creativity space into the metaverse is going to be much, much bigger. Right? That allows, because you don't have gravity, you don't have codes, you don't have building codes, so you can basically design anything. But I believe we're gonna reach to a point where they're gonna be an internal regulations in any place that you can go to. So, for example, if you're gonna design for one of the sandbox, for example. Right. Okay, so probably there is some kind of guidelines and regulations that you have to adhere and you have to commit to, that you cannot really get away from. That's some kind of boundaries. So when it comes for something goes wrong, I don't believe so, because the whole point and the whole target for us as an architects to be involved is to prevent something from going wrong, right? But if we're going to talk about authorities, probably they're going to be some kind of like an authority that's going to really review what you are doing, right? Of course, again, the creativity space is much, much, much bigger.
Right. Interesting. Yeah, that is true. So in a sense, I guess you can really flex a lot of your creativity, I suppose, in the metaverse. And, perhaps that, trickles back into, daily practice. And yeah, I can see that happening for sure. Kind of staying in the same space, I wanted to, now this is just as a fan, as an admirer from afar, if you may. I was super excited when I heard about Metachair Society. And I don't want to give much away because I'm sure, it's already out there and, maybe people know about it or don't know about it. But could you walk our audience through what this was, how it came into being? And more importantly, now that it's live and out there, what has been your learnings from it?
So look, about Metachair Society, the whole point of doing this project was the learning curve. So when we start hearing about NFT, I said, okay, I want the whole process. I want to learn the whole thing, right? So even now, when you see there's a lot of people, they have NFT projects, they get help with maybe a designer, a 3D modeler, a coder, someone that's a blockchain developer. So got my mind. So I really wanted to have everything in-house, right? So, and I have a very techie savvy team here in the office. They are amazing. and they are into the metaverse and NFT, and they are like investing a little bit, not a lot, a little bit, in the and the cryptocurrencies and the NFT. So when we are in lockdown, we had a lot of discussions, and then when it came to us, okay, let's start something that's related to our business. Okay, so we thought, okay, there was lots of buildings happening, but I couldn't find anyone who's doing any kind of furniture. But okay, let's do our own furniture collection as NFT, but let's make them really cool. Let's make them appealing for every taste and every kind of like interest for anyone. So we make them themed. So the thing is, when you do an NFT, there is a process. And it all starts like any other design business. You sketch, right? So you sketch your ideas, you put it on paper. And then you start the modeling. Once you model it and you are happy with it, you start doing the variations. But when you design the variations, you design it into layers. Okay, why? Because there is some kind of generating more variations going to happen through coding. Because usually NFT projects, they are a lot. So usually each collection is sometimes 1,000, 500, 2,000, 30,000. Can you imagine that you have to handcraft every single one? That's a lot. So
right.
What you usually do, and this is what I learned, this is the process that we learned, that you design the prime, what we call the prime NFTs, where they are into like layers. For imagine that you have a chair that have inside it 10 different elements. Let's say it has like a side back, it has legs, colors, cushion, stitches. So I have different 10 elements. So when you put this 10 different elements, each single one, I'm going into details now.
No, sure.
So you put it on a different layer, and you design the next one the same way, and the next one, and the next one, and you end up having, let's say, 100 or 50 prime NFT. Then through coding, you generate variations as much as you want. Right? Of course, part of the variations, they're gonna look bad, or they're gonna look awkward. So you have again to just take this one, choose the perfect one, change a little bit, but it's gonna get you like 80% of the work on your behalf.
Right.
So that allows you to really have this huge amount of variations, and your collection getting bigger and bigger, and your society can get bigger as well. Right? Because instead of having like very limited kind of collection, you can cater for everyone. Anyone is interested to be a part of the society, they can be in. That's very easy.
So yes. Sorry, can I just kind of virtually raise my hand? It seems a bit counterintuitive in the sense that, I mean, in my mind, I would be thinking that instead of going down the route of variation, for example, and having thousands of them, if you were to in fact have, say, 100 designs which you have done, kind of very obviously by yourself from scratch, would it not make sense to then have those and then maybe charge a higher floor price, for example, for those because they're limited as compared to the larger option?
Yeah, absolutely. That's totally your decision. It's all about how big your society want it to be.
Right.
Are you going to be only something very niche? You're going to have very handcrafted, special, limited edition kind of 10 designs, 20 designs that you want to sell for only few people? But I believe it's going to be a bit challenging here. Why? Because when you say community, when you see society, and it's always not about the art itself. It's also about the roadmap. Yeah. So when you create such a project, you need to think, okay, what is my roadmap? What I'm bringing to my society? Okay, what are the perks? What are the perks? Okay, I need benefits. It's not only like an image that I'm buying. Right. So no, it should be some kind of benefits. So this benefits, and this is where the value of the NFT comes in place.
The actual utility of it.
Exactly. And it's your access maybe for a service. So that means if you buy one of those NFT, you can get an access for like maybe a consultation or maybe a design, okay? Or maybe like a meetup with one of the team, this kind of things. Or maybe you can get a design service, right? So I have a client who bought one of the chairs, and we reached to a point where we took the chair and we 3D printed the chair, and we have it in his design in his cafe in downtown. So you can see the same chair as a physical one, and you have it as an NFT because it's a 3D object. So this is what we call it, bridging to reality, bridging virtual to reality.
Right.
And I think this is where the metaverse should go to. Okay, it's not only to stay in the virtual world. That's going to sound silly. You need something really tangible, okay, not only non-fungible, right?
Right. I just got the pun there, but yeah, that was pretty cool. Yeah, I think we're definitely going to see more of that happen for sure. I think with designers like yourself, obviously, kind of pushing the needle, I think it's only a matter of time till, a lot more people are kind of getting on board. So congratulations on that.
Thank you so much.
As kind of a final question to round up, I feel like you may have already heard this because I recently found out that you have been listening to our episodes.
I'm a big fan.
Which is a little intimidating. I'm not going to lie, but then you obviously know what this question is. So, affectionately on the show, we call this question the utopian question.
Okay.
And the purpose of this question is to kind of just understand. I believe that every designer subconsciously has some project going on in their mind, which maybe never even reaches paper, but they're always thinking about something. So the purpose of this question is that you have a client that comes to you tomorrow and says, "Hi, Firas, pretty much here's my checkbook, and I have a piece of land in reality, and I don't really have a brief, but I want to build or create something which adds value back to society." Now, that can be physically, that can be spiritually, that can be, in any which way, but something which will add value back to society. So you can take your time and answer. You don't need to get one out there. But it's a very utopian situation. So don't kind of feel held back by anything. It's kind of like if you were to create anything and all the parameters were taken out in the real world, what would Firas as a designer or ForSpace as a studio, what would you be looking to create?
So we were talking earlier about that wherever you go, wherever of a social experience you are living in, you take your phone most of the time and you film it, right? Whether you are in a party, in a restaurant, or a wedding, you use your phone, or even if you saw a nice design.
Right.
Okay. I believe the longest time that I don't use my phone camera where I am at the movies, unless I am doing pirating, of course.
Of course not. We would never do that.
Yeah. So basically, when you are in the movies, you're going to stay for 2 hours, 3 hours, right? Enjoying really to the maximum for every single detail and single moments. That's why when someone like Disney, and they really do this all small details and Easter eggs inside their movies, that's because people, they are looking into it. They are paying attention. They are looking through their eyes. They are not looking through their phones, right? That's the amount of details here inside is amazing. So coming back to your answer, I really wish that tomorrow a client comes to me and said, "Okay, Firas, design for me a set, a movie set," right? So for me, the ideal opportunity, it will be sci-fi, cyberpunk, full with designs.
Awesome.
Got my point. This is a movie set, maybe will be directed by Spielberg. I know, very ambitious, I know. But yeah, this is what I really wish design. I know the social impact of such a project is that eventually you're going to get a movie where people are going to sit and enjoy, and they can sit after that and talk about it. Maybe it's really great movie. They can still talk about it maybe for years to come. We have lots of amazing blockbusters. We still, when we want to quote something, we quote it from a movie. When we have a meme, it's from a movie, right? So I believe we still cherish the opportunity of movie experience, how social it is.
I agree.
So yeah, this will be my really utopian project.
I love it. I mean, and honestly, it's not too far-fetched. I mean, right next door in Abu Dhabi, we have Dune kind of like taking its own shape over there. And a lot of sci-fi has been shot here. So you never know, right? Anyone listening, if this seems of interest to you, we'll have Space Design linked in the show notes. Feel free to get in touch. I'm sure Firas will sort you out. Yeah, that's awesome. That's a very, very exciting answer. Like, that's the first answer I think after a long time, even I'm really excited about.
I have one other answer if you like, to have to design a utopia where everyone is happy.
We all have variations.
Very healthy, no stress. Of course, this is the cliche kind of answer, but no, you asked me, I'm being honest. This is really my dream. Okay. My dream utopian project.
No, I mean, honestly, it's super exciting, right? Because like we were talking about earlier, the origins of the show. I think, especially for fresh grads listening in, this is a perfect kind of evidence, if you may, that you may study architecture in school, you may pass out as an architect, but architecture and design in general, any design education, I think kind of opens your mind up to so many different fields. If you were to probably tell someone in first year that, hey, listen, would you want to design a set for, cyberpunk meets, sci-fi? They'd probably think that, but that's not architecture, because like they're thinking, Mies van der Rohe and all of that kind of thing. So I love it. I mean, it's awesome that our field is so universal and has so much application across so many fields, and that there are designers like you actually pushing that limit and really showing that, listen, you can be and can do so much more. So thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
That's kind of my summary for all of us designers here. Thank you for doing what you're doing. We really appreciate it. If people need to find you or learn more about Space Design, where can they go? What can they search for?
So they can contact the office. They can email the office, check the website. I'm available also on Instagram. Most of the time, I reply most of the DMs. I handle Space page myself. So I'm quite available. So yeah, okay. Please don't be a strangers.
Very cool. So there you go, guys. If you want to get in touch, we'll have everything linked in the show notes below. And finally, again, Firas, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. And for the rest of you guys, we will catch you guys next week.
Thank you so much. It was a great pleasure. I really enjoyed our session today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Fellow aFormers, thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for being part of our journey, and thank you for the immense support we've been receiving for our episodes. It has and continues to be a very bumpy road, but we wouldn't want it any other way. If you enjoyed this episode and it brought you value, please share this episode with anyone who may benefit from it. But of course, if you loved the episode, follow us on Instagram and LinkedIn, send us a little DM, and we may just send you a secret link to a secret episode which we've been working on. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. See you next time. Keep sketching.